And hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Whitfield Report Thursday edition for February 21st, 2019. And I, of course, am your host, Sam Whitfield, recording from NGC Studios here in South Florida. I am not doing this live, but as usual, I am pre-recording the Thursday podcast, and I'm doing video. Usually the Thursday edition is audio only, but today is kind of a special occasion, and so I'm doing video to mark this. And what is that special occasion, ladies and gentlemen? Well, thanks to some new acquaintances and savages, members of Sam Savages who I've encountered over the last month. The Whitfield Report YouTube channel, which you can find at youtube.com/The Whitfield Report, has now reached over 200 subscribers. And so this is for you guys watching. I want to thank you so very much for helping the channel get to over 200 subscribers in just a little over a month. And I want to thank our friends over at Revenge of the Sis Radio, that podcast, Royce and Merch, for really helping me promote my content and helping me grow my YouTube channel. Regular listeners of the podcast and even some regular viewers of the YouTube streams will know that I originally started in the world of audio podcasting. I'm kind of old school that way. So transitioning to YouTube, and well, not really transitioning because I'm still doing audio podcasting as well, but I should say upgrading to YouTube and really getting on that platform. It's been a bit of an adjustment for me, I'll admit that readily. But you savages are frickin' wonderful, and I appreciate every one of you. So thanks for making thanks for making this podcast even better and whatnot. So anyway, contact info as usual. If you want to reach out to the show, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SamW_NGC, hashtag Whitfield Report, also hashtag Sam's Savages too. Barry Haney, or Critterme Timbers as she's called on Twitter, has got that hashtag trending on Twitter, so I figure we might as well incorporate that and make that an actual thing. So be sure to use hashtag Sam's Savages as well. So also you can follow me on Gab at Sam Whitfield. I am verified over there. To be honest, folks, I don't really use Gab all that much just because, Gab is Gab, and it's kind of unfortunately been taken over by alt-right folks somewhat, and yeah. TheSamWhitfield.com is my website, although I need to update that because I think I don't even think I've posted since like early 2018. So that's going to get an update here this weekend for sure. And Facebook.com/Whitfield Report if you're on Facebook. Please like our page over there. And please subscribe on Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review over there. That really helps us. And finally, in terms of housekeeping, if you would like to contribute to the show in one of two ways or both, there are two options we have. You can PayPal me for super chats, quote unquote, at paypal.me/WhitfieldPod. That's where you can make one-time donations. Or if you would be willing to support the show on a monthly basis. You can go to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click on the support this podcast button and donate $1 a month, $5, or $10 a month. One of those three levels, and I really appreciate that. Anchor is also where we host the audio podcast, so in addition to Apple Podcasts, you can also find links to the podcast on other audio podcast platforms as well. So I would really appreciate it if you guys could all also subscribe to the audio podcast as well. That really helps me out alone. Even if you don't contribute to, kind of the Anchor listener support or the PayPal, just subscribing to the podcast alone helps. Alright, folks. So, in celebration of making it to 200 subscribers, many of you, I realize, are new to the program. So, I'm going to briefly go over my origin story, kind of how I got started in podcasting. I'm not going to lay it out in full detail, but many of you are wondering, of course, since I've been covering the Owen thing, many of you are wondering how I got involved with the whole Owen Benjamin / DZ feud, and obviously I had Johnny Arcade. Obviously I had Carlos Danger on to discuss how that all went down, and so I will now discuss kind of my origin story, as it were. So to begin, I suppose I should start off by saying that when I was growing up, kind of in junior high, that age, middle school, I guess they call it now, I was always one of those kids who was interested in, politics and current events, just because I was weird that way. As many of you know, I have a physical disability. I'm wheelchair bound. I don't really let it affect me that much. It doesn't really, determine how my life is going. I consider it to be a relatively minor inconvenience that I'm in a wheelchair. But, that aside, I was a gamer when I was younger, and I still am to a certain extent. Not as much because of, this whole thing. I'm much more interested in podcasting and whatnot. But, I was your average millennial growing up in, the 2000s. I was a gamer, had to do the whole school thing. I'm also an Eagle Scout. Before that organization went to hell in a handbasket with the whole transgender thing, and now girls being able to join the Boy Scouts and whatnot. I'll get into that again, maybe on a future podcast. Who knows? But anyway, my favorite subject in school was politics and current events. So, I was pretty attentive to what was going on, and my parents were always watching the news or talking about issues, and I won't disclose what my parents' exact political ideologies are, but let's just say that basically a large part of why I'm podcasting is basically because one of my parents was a big talk radio listener, and I would always listen to talk radio with them when I was in the car growing up. So Now, the other thing that's important to know about my parents is, although one of them is, more conservative than the other, the one that listened to talk radio, would also listen to NPR and whatnot, and listen to, obviously, some of the more liberal talk shows as well, but that was more to listen to what the enemy had to say and, doing enemy opposition, research and whatnot. But long story short, the first time I heard Rush Limbaugh, I was probably about 10 or 11 years old, and listening to Rush early on, the idea that you could talk into a microphone and, make money doing that and getting callers and, sometimes, stirring up trouble and, annoying libtards, as Rush has been, so famous to do for 30 years now. That spoke to me immediately, and I was like, damn, I want to do that. So, just kind of on a whim, when I was 14, I had gotten my first iPod. I think it was an iPod Nano, and at that point, Apple had just introduced kind of the audio podcasting format. So, kind of on a whim, I found a podcast host. I think it was Podbean, or it was one of those really early free ones where you could only upload 30 minutes of audio content, but that's what I did. And I uploaded just a podcast of me. I mean, I admit I was kind of spewing boomer-esque talking points at that time. But, hey, I was literally still a kid at that point. So, I started when I was 14, kind of, fooled around with it a bit. I really decided I wanted to get into politics and current events when, the 2008 election rolled around, and even though I was in 8th grade going into high school, all of my friends seemed enamored by the fact that we were going to have our first black president in Barack Obama. Now, I had read Barack Obama's voting record as a junior senator from Illinois, and, that's to say that Obama really didn't have a voting record at all. If you go back to his congressional record, well, they probably have him scrubbed by now. Someone probably bleached those offline by now. But if you go back to, very early Obama, he was a flip-flopper. And so, me being the kind of the political nerd I was at a very early age, I looked at his voting record and I'm like, well, crap, there's nothing here. Do we really want a guy who literally is just like a politician who hasn't really stood for anything? And, back in 2008, millennial SJW cringe wasn't really a thing yet. The term SJW or social justice, none of that was around yet. This was pre, meme internet culture, too. This is pre-culture war, and I was at the very beginning of it. I was at the prologue. But, obviously I got you're racist because, you don't want the first black president to win. No, that's not what I said at all. I just said, I don't understand because I don't want Obama to win because he doesn't really have any solid policy positions and he has no idea what he's doing. That's what I thought at the time, at least. So, anyway, long story short, I got called a racist, and, started doing more, research into the left's ideology, and found pretty quickly that their whole thing was identity politics and, being, just being total, faggots, basically. I mean, there's no other way to say it, really. So, I started doing the podcast, and, I gained a small following when I was, around the time I entered in high school. The other thing was, when I was in high school, I had started, broadcasting the show on Blog Talk Radio, which, some of you will remember what Blog Talk Radio is. It's that really cringy, internet radio service where you would literally call in with a phone, with like a cell phone, and, broadcast a podcast, and it was like conference call level quality. My first show was called The Whitfield Analysis because I would analyze the news and politics of the day. So, I did that on Blog Talk Radio. I actually did that for about 3 years. Almost 4 years. So I was on Blog Talk Radio for like a long time, from like 2009 to early, 2012. So, that's a pretty good, length of time over there. Then, I hooked up with a podcasting group of other kind of young conservatives, so to speak, called Junior Factor Nation, and, that was run by, Caden Cowger, who, yes, for those of you who are familiar with that whole internet meme, Caden Cowger is, of course, the kid who said Obama was making kids gay, and of course he became an internet meme, and I was gonna whoa, he kept being obsessed with the whole gay thing, and eventually it kind of brought down JFN a bit, so that lasted for about a year and a half, and then I started my own group called Next Gen Conservative Media. Hence, we still have the logo, which is what you're seeing, down in the right corner. So, NGC Media started, and, we had a couple good shows there for a bit. And, that happened my senior year of high school. Then, once I graduated my senior year of high school, I moved from, Denver, Colorado, which is where I'm originally from, to, Florida, and took a gap year in between high school and college, and basically worked on the podcast. So, I did that. NGC worked out pretty well, but eventually there were just too many egos, and, mine included, and we kind of all went our separate ways, so I went solo for a bit, and, continued doing the show. 2015 rolled around, and basically, I, stated that no matter who the, Republican candidate was at the time, I would support him or her, no matter who it was, because I had a feeling that Hillary Clinton, was going to run in 2016, and of course I was right. I think we all kind of figured that was going to happen. So, my whole prognosis was, whoever wins whoever wins the Republican nomination, I will support. Even if it was Jeb Bush, I would have voted for Jeb. Reluctantly, of course, but I would have voted for, Jeb if it, came down to him or Hillary. But, long story short, I wasn't a Trump guy at the beginning, although I did like the fact that Trump was politically incorrect because, I've always kind of considered myself a politically incorrect guy, and, let's face it, when I started this whole thing, like I said, I was a rowdy teenager, and, teenage, boys like to cause trouble, and growing up in the age of the internet, we were all kind of trolls, and, Trump was the troll candidate, and he was just politically incorrect, so I really liked him. Just that he was a straight talker. So, when he did become the nominee, I fully threw my support behind him. Unlike Jovi Val, who, didn't come to the whole MAGA crowd until after the, election. But, so I, continued doing the podcast in 2016. I changed the name to from the Whitfield Analysis to the Whitfield Report just because, typing in the Whitfield Analysis was really long for a podcast, and then also some trolls on Twitter were also making, jokes about, what happens if you take the cis out of analysis, you get anal, so they did that whole retarded thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna, shorten the show name to the Whitfield Report, and, I kinda like it. So, I changed the name of the show, continued doing it, found out about Owen Benjamin and the Unbearables. I can't remember exactly who told me about them. It might have been one of them who had reached out to me, actually. But, long story short, in 2018, I was in March of 2018, I was looking to, of course, continue building the show, and I was looking for a group of, networkers, kind of like-minded creative conservatives, and, I was told about the Unbearables. I found out about Owen through the JRE podcast, that third, Joe Rogan Experience podcast, where, Kurt Metzger basically talked over him for the entire time. So that's how I discovered Owen. To be honest, I wasn't really a big fan of him comedically, I thought he was okay, but he wasn't, great, but I kinda liked what he was doing with the whole, anti-trans kids thing. That really spoke out to me. So I found the Unbearables, long story short, and in the beginning, the Unbearables seemed to be a great, network of, people who were doing, creative stuff like art and design and podcasting and video production, parody songs, musicianship, in the case of Chuck Boris, and just late night streams, which was how I met the original DZ guys. And, we all clicked, Carlos Danger, Sirio, all those guys, Chuck, Canna, John Neary, of course. John Neary was my first, interview for the brief period of time I was with the Bears. And, he was, God, that guy is funny, dude. So long story short, everything was going well with the Bears, and then that roast battle with Nimmer happened, and, I didn't know that things were chaotic before then, but at least when I'd come into the Unbearables, things were pretty copacetic. And then the roast battle happened, between Nimmer and Neary, and everything went to shit, 3 weeks after I joined, and I was basically out of the Unbearables almost as fast as I came in. So, and the rest is covered in that documentary of porcelains. So, that's kind of a long-winded 25-minute explanation of who I am and where I come from. I'm sure, like if I appear on, on ROTC or on Nightwave's Showwave edition one of these days, maybe Mersh can ask me some more specific questions, but that's all I've got for you about my background for right now. So the reason I bring up my background, though, is, I've been doing this since 2008, which is actually a long time, and granted, I haven't gotten really big until this year, but I've watched plenty of young conservatives, get in the limelight immediately and then just, fade out, Charlie Kirk, for one, and then, Benji Back, who became, a never-Trumper. I've witnessed all these young conservatives, quote-unquote, kind of surpass me and get to the spotlight, and then they've immediately faded out. And, I'm not bragging here, but even though I'm not super popular, I've stuck around and kind of built a small audience of people who intimately like this program, I think, and I'm happy to have all the new people aboard as well. So anyway, apologies for kind of my ranty origin story. If I don't have a guest or a particular news item in front of me, I tend to go kind of on that style rant. So, excuse me, but I hope that kind of filled in the gap for you as to who I am. So, and I've been at this longer than Owen Benjamin has in terms of political commentary, which is why I wanted to kind of explain my background a bit, because yes, Unbearables, believe it or not, I do have more experience in podcasting and interviews than Owen does, just by my sheer body of work. I've been at this longer. Now, there are a couple new clips of Owen that I want to play for you guys that I want to go over, because obviously the whole Save George thing, as we all know, Owen Benjamin has been hitting his dog, but I've suspected for a long time that he may or may, I can't confirm this, but it seems to me like he's kind of getting hostile towards Amy. And maybe not physically, but he's definitely even admitted to some emotional abuse of Amy, it seems like. So this was pretty astounding. Someone sent this to me, and it was a big wow moment for me. So this is Owen Benjamin talking about how he fights with Amy from time to time, but that it's completely natural and no problem whatsoever. Cut number 1, go.
And I'll yell in front of people, even if it fucking is bad for me. If people are like, what's up with him yelling at a woman? I'm like, I treat her just as good at home. I don't change. If I feel like yelling or if I feel like being sweet, it's like I don't have that thing that's like, don't do it in this environment. It's like, no, this is my fucking jurisdiction. In the future,
Okay, so that right there is very telling. Obviously, those of us who have been, entrapped in the whole Unbearable saga / train wreck, like, Carlos Danger and the other guy, and the DZ, we all know that Owen has no filter. Anyone who's been banned by Owen knows that he has no filter whatsoever. This is very problematic because not to use a leftist buzzword, but it is problematic because, when you're trying to build an audience, and particularly when you're trying to get into the conservative media sphere, even if you're a free speech guy, like, you do kind of want to read your audience a bit, dude, and, read the situation, and clearly he's just admitted he has no filter. And he's terrible at that, so very, very revealing that he's admitting that now.
My chaos space. You get your fucking retard space where everything has a label. Like, I'm not going to do it in the bedroom or the future. I get my chaos space. If I feel like being sweet, it's like I don't have that thing that's like, don't do it in this environment. It's like, no, this is my fucking jurisdiction. In the future, I get my chaos space. You get your fucking retard space where everything has a label. Like, I'm not going to do it in the bedroom or...
So he's calling his wife's, part of the house in their, in their domestic living quarters together. He's calling Amy's space, which is basically the whole entire house, the retard space. Because women like to, organize stuff and whatnot, I guess. Which, Owen, aren't you the person who's always preaching about, traditional marriage roles? Like, why is that bad that your wife wants to, organize things and make things nice and make a nice home? That's a retard space, Owen? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I mean, that's evidence enough there that they're having marital problems in my mind. But,
kitchen or the living room because that's her domain. But in the fucking garage and in the land, if I'm just like hitting the ground, that's my decision. Or else I'll lose my mind. It's like, why?
So he admits that he also has like an anger problem where he needs to take his aggression out on something or else he'll lose his mind. Again, folks, is this the guy we want in the conservative movement to represent us? Someone who is this hot-headed, and who makes, split-second decisions based on on how he's feeling in that moment. Probably not a good idea. That's how we get, that's how we get things like, Anthony Cumia. That's how we get Gavin McInnes at his worst. And, maybe to a lesser extent, certain Steven Crowder, too. And that's also how the left acts, too, Owen. They just act on impulse. So, again, is this the conservative hero that we want to prop up? I think not. But, continuing on.
Wheelbarrow upside down. I'm like, because I want it that way. And don't get me wrong, I at that point might be like, maybe I should turn the wheelbarrow around. She has a right to fucking... We all fight about nothing. Like today, I was like, at one point when she was like, well, I just feel like no one can turn around in our fucking driveway. I'm like, Amy, this is the biggest driveway I've ever owned in my life. I'm a 38-year-old man. What fucking tractor trailer do you think needs to turn around here? And she was like, well, I just think we... I literally just started going, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. I'm like, time is passing.
What a douche to say that to your own wife, Owen. I'm not married. I don't even have a girlfriend at the moment. But, even at 24, I've been in enough relationships, good and bad, and, after my parents, watching them get divorced, I realized that when you say stuff like TikTok, you're wasting time, especially if it's like a man in a relationship to a woman. At that point, you're probably gonna get slapped or you're gonna get your ass beat, dude, and no one's gonna blame her for doing it too. Also, the fact that you're airing your dirty laundry out to 3,000 plus people on a stream, yeah, that's real. That's real good stuff, Owen. It really is. Why, bae?
What the fuck you want me to do and I'll do it. And she's like, don't yell. And I'm like, I don't have another voice.
And there you go, folks. So he's basically just admitted in that entire clip that he has anger problems. He has no concept of self-control or even self-awareness whatsoever. And, he thinks his wife's space in the house is, retarded, basically. That's really nice, Owen. That's great. But, by all means, folks, he keeps saying his, marriage to Amy is awesome. It totally sounds like it. Last night, I was sent another clip that was even more incredulous, ladies and gentlemen. Owen is now blaming Joey Diaz and Joe Rogan for his spiral into madness. See, this is the other thing. Owen knows that between his whole moon landing stuff and blaming Carlos and the other guy for poisoning his kids and everything else, he knows that he's up shit's creek. He knows that his career is on the rocks. Like, he's finally having to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, he might be crazy. Okay? But what is he doing instead of admitting that he's crazy and taking some responsibility? Oh, I'll blame it on Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz. I kid you not. This is what he did on stream yesterday. Take a look, ladies and gentlemen. Clip number 2. Let's roll the tape.
He said that I got like schizophrenia from an edible that Joey Diaz gave me. Can you imagine being that retarded? Like, I would never do this because I fucking think that's all that shit's dumb. But you understand that he promotes weed for like every episode. It's like, weed is the health. Weed is being held down by Big Pharma. Like,
he's talking about, I assume he's talking about Rogan here. That's what it sounds like. He's talking about Joe Rogan here.
There's no age when you shouldn't just start pounding weed. And then he said that one edible that those guys gave me made me ruin my life and I went insane. He said that publicly. Does he not understand he can be sued for that?
Okay. Joe said that as a joke. I believe on one of his podcasts. Like, this is the other thing Owen is for a quote unquote comedian with 147 IQ that he claims, and no, seriously, folks, I'm not making that up. This guy again thinks he has a 147 IQ. He does not understand sarcasm or tone or humor at all. Or he does, and he's just playing this to his retarded audience of bears. Either way, he's, he's making him out of a molehill hill. out of a molehill here.
That he was promoting poison? Like, what if it didn't? It didn't. I'm saying that, like, don't even think there's a chance. Don't make clips. I don't give a fuck. I'm not crazy. It didn't affect my mind. It didn't make me schizophrenic. That's laughably stupid. But imagine if I played that. Like, imagine if I was a deceptive person. I was like, yeah, that edible, the edible you gave me made me ruin my life. It's time for a lawsuit. And then you can do you can get every fucking parent who had a kid who listened to Rogan did weed and it triggered their fucking bipolar nature because they were too young. Like, that's so dangerous to say that shit. To be like a weed, like evangelical weed guy and be like, weed solves everything. I mean, you just put your weed on your boner, weed, it's smoking weed. And then you say publicly that weed made me lose everything. Does he not understand how, like, liable that is? I wouldn't.
Kind of like how you were saying about a month or so ago that, two guys poisoned your, kid with gummies, and how, you mean that type of liable on, or, oh, you're talking about different type of stuff. I see. Continue on, Owen. Continue on.
Do that because that's wizard deception, and I would never sue anyone ever. That just sounds. I just hate that whole system. It's all Jews anyway.
What? Okay, so this is the other thing he does is he does this whole anti-Semitic bit, and maybe he is truly anti-Semitic. I'm starting to believe that, actually. But I think maybe it started as him just trying to be like an edgelord or something, and now he's actually become an anti-Semite full blown. But yeah.
How does he not know how dangerous that is to say that? To be like, we poisoned him. I was, in Hollywood, I made $30,000 a week when I was on a TV show. Do you understand the damages? You could be like, I trusted Joe. He said that it was good, and it's ruined my life.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and replay a portion of this clip for you, because I want you to hear this. So he essentially says that Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz poisoned him, but then he says, I would never allege that. I would never actually say that, but I could, and it would damage them. So, now he's getting too big for his britches, and he thinks he can, pull one over on Rogan and Diaz. So I guess Joey Diaz and Joe Rogan are DZ officially now, ladies and gentlemen.
And then you say publicly that weed made me lose everything. Does he not understand how, like, liable that is? I would never do that because that's wizard deception, and I would never sue anyone ever. That just sounds. I just hate that whole system. It's all Jews anyway. But how does he not know how dangerous that is to say that? To be like, we poisoned him. I was, in Hollywood, I made $30,000 a week when I was on a TV show. Do you understand the damages? You could be like, I trusted Joe. He said that it was good, and it's ruined my life. It's poison.
So, yeah. So, he's essentially, alleging that Joey Diaz and poisoned him, on stream, and then he's saying, but I won't actually allege that, and I won't sue because that's too Jewy, okay? So, that's his prerogative. Now, let me actually play for you a clip from Joey Diaz's channel. Joey Diaz actually put up footage of the whole Owen Benjamin, getting high off a weed gummy a few months ago. And, clearly Uncle Joey wanted to poison, big bad Owen Benjamin here. Clearly that was the intent, folks. Okay? Yeah, clearly that was the, intention. So, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, I guess I forgot to load the clip real quick, so, let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so, yeah, clearly, as you'll see from this clip, clearly Uncle Joey, intended to poison Owen. So here is Joey Diaz poisoning Owen Benjamin, with a gummy weed star on his podcast, live. And, I'll narrate the text for those of you who are listening to this on the audio podcast, okay? So, here is, Owen Benjamin getting poisoned, quote unquote, on, Joey Diaz's The Church of What's Happening podcast. Cut number 1. Let's roll the tape.
The Church of What's Happening Now. Monday.
The podcast that changed Owen Benjamin's life. The Church of What's Happening Now. Number 378, March 9th, 2016. Wow, so this is a few years old.
The day the devil was buried at sea and fucked in the ass and lit on fire and dropped off at Cosby's house. Oh shit. Owen Benjamin. What's up? Lee Sayat. Uncle Joey. Get those shoes on, bitches. Oh shit, pump out those moves, cocksuckers. What? What's the story, Lee Sayat?
I'm doing good. Oh my god, these stores are kicking in fast.
Yeah, we're not fucking around. I've been fermenting these, you know what I'm saying? These have been sitting in the dark. Owen Benjamin, what's happened?
Just the stars are kicking in pretty hard.
Fuck yeah, and I wouldn't even let you eat the second one because I know these things smack people around really hard.
Everything was fine at first. That's the caption on the video. Okay, and I want to point out, too, what Joey just said, that he wouldn't even let Owen take the first, he only let Owen take, like, part of the first one, because, I think he knew that Owen could go off the deep end. I don't think he knew how far off the deep end Owen would go, though, so, anyway, let's continue.
I've done comedy now since college, so I was always traveling, so I never really looked forward to more. It's almost like our job is people's party, so it's like you don't live in the frat house, you kind of just kind of go.
Owen Benjamin just gave me a look that I recognize. It's a look that's telling me.
What's that? Oh, I'm crazy high.
Yeah, it's hitting you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
No, but it's cool. Like all your story,
you want more water?
Because you're such a descriptive talker that everything you're saying, I'm like literally seeing in my head. It's really fun.
It's not
feeling
fun
all right?
anymore.
Yeah, I'm just
going to get some air.
Yeah, I'm fucking crazy high though.
Okay, you want more?
So keep in mind, folks, that like this is the Owen, not the high Owen, but this is the type of Owen that like when I first joined the Unbearables, Owen was kind of like this guy where he was, chilled out, kind of a nice guy, down to talk to people, really friendly seeming and whatnot, and, he wasn't the screaming madman, in the clips that I played earlier tonight, that's for sure. He's definitely changed a lot, and not for the best.
Water?
Yeah.
Okay,
thanks.
let's do some water. Yeah.
Fuck.
I told you, you wanted to eat too. I saved you because I like
you, man.
that his voice changed a little bit, and I know.
So, like I just mentioned, Joey kept him from eating 2 gummies because he knew that Owen might go at a whack here.
Isn't a lot more. Tremendous. Yeah, those things are strong, Owen. Yeah, you just relax. Man. This is the devil here tonight.
I can barely fucking function.
Oh, yeah. No. I want to be around. This is it, baby. Where's the fucking light?
Pick up the pieces
10 lights.
when somebody breaks your heart. Somebody.
I hope YouTube doesn't strike me for this.
How can you handle 6 stars?
Because we're in training, Owen Benjamin. Owen Benjamin coming back. He's coming back. He's making a comeback.
So Owen's laughing at this entire thing with the stars too. He's not freaking out. He's laughing at this entire thing. He's having a good time. That's all that's going on.
Like Jerry Lewis. This is good shit. These stars are the stars of death, Owen Benjamin. You want to take a walk? You all right?
Yeah, I'm going to take a walk.
Get some air right there. Get some air on the balcony. And take your water with you just in case you fucking, you want to dehydrate a little bit. You'll be all right. This happens. They had to do 1,000 things, little stupid. He abandoned shit. This is the real deal at church, As a matter of fact, give me the bag. I'm going to eat another one out of respect for this poor kid.
Okay.
What do you think? I'm not eating it alone.
No.
You're my partner in crime.
I figured I was involved in this.
Out of respect for you people, I love you with all my heart. I hope you have a good week. I'm eating this star on a fucking solo tip just to let you know we ain't fucking around no more. Take it or fucking leave it. I ain't got time for this shit no more. Your attitude should be like my attitude. It's over. We're taking over this bitch. Right or wrong, cocksucker? I really think Owen Benjamin abandoned ship. He is the first guest that has ever abandoned ship.
Called an Uber, you think?
I don't know. I think he's out there. I could see it. There was one point where I could see his eye just go.
Thank God he said no on the second one.
Yeah, he would have been dead. I want to thank Owen Benjamin. These stars are fucking.
So I guess that's Owen's. That is because Joey was joking out. How Owen would be dead again. Joey didn't mean that literally. You mean. It's a figure of speech. You would be dead as in, super fucking high. Okay? That's all that means. And, but yeah. Uncle Joey decided to poison the, big bad Owen Benjamin. Yeah, right, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, anywho, we're not at quite an hour, but we're at 53 minutes, and, we went a little long for the Thursday edition of the show. We usually only keep that to 45 minutes. So we went a little over today for the Thursday podcast. But again, this was a special 200 subscriber for YouTube podcast. So again, thank you all who subscribed on YouTube. Thank you to all of you who have also subscribed and downloaded the audio podcast as well. That helps me tremendously. I really appreciate it. I want to thank Merce and Royce and the ROTC family for really helping me get this thing off the ground. Thanks to the Danger Zone guys, the DZ fam, who have helped me too. And speaking of DZ, my main man, Chuck Boris, is going to be back on the podcast for his 3rd appearance on the show. We're going to be talking on Saturday, and we're going to be talking all things DZ. More guests wanted to know about the details of how he went after Eric Nimmer. He's the man who, ladies and gentlemen, did investigative journalism and, did his due diligence and exposed Eric Nimmer for the valor-stealing piece of crap that he is. Chuck's a hero in, some respects. Maybe not in the same respect as like a military hero, obviously, but, he did his civic duty by exposing this piece of trash. So, we greatly appreciate him for that, and, Chuck's just the right guy, so I always love having him on. Anyway, so I'll have him on the podcast on Saturday night, 8 p.m. live, youtube.com/Whitfield Report. And, in fact, after I wrap up this podcast, I'm going to schedule the event. But, anyway, folks, I want to thank you so very much for coming on the show and watching in the past, present, future hour. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button and leave a nice comment if you enjoyed the show, and share this video with your friends. If you're listening on the audio podcast, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening. It really helps this podcast grow and spread the word. Also, as I mentioned before, paypal.me/Whitfield Pod is where you can contribute to the show via PayPal. Also, anchor.fm/Whitfield Report to subscribe to the audio podcast and to become a monthly supporter of the podcast as well. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining, and from all of us here at NGC Media, have a good night, God bless, and God save this great nation. I'll see you Saturday evening, folks, with Chuck Boris. Until then, God bless, and God save this great nation. Hey there, folks. If you've made it this far to the end of the podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for listening to the show. You are the ones that make it possible for me to make an income from podcasting, and I greatly appreciate that just by listening to our show. You are helping us gain ad revenue. However, if you would really like to help support the show, I encourage you to please donate to the podcast and become a supporter of the show. You can head over to anchor.fm/Whitfield Report and click the support this podcast button and choose the amount that suits you to support the show. Or you can click the link in the show notes and it will directly take you to that page. If you can support the podcast, I really appreciate that. Anything that you can do to help out is greatly appreciated. Even if you can't afford to help financially support the podcast, I encourage you to please go on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, and please leave this podcast a positive 5-star review. That really helps us out here at the Whitfield Report. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next episode.